I can't believe we're already making a 2025 crappie spawn video. It seems like just last year I was just making one. I don't know. But welcome back to Crappie Man Jigs. I'm Steven Turner. So in today's video, we're going to be covering exactly that. Everything you need to know about the crappie spawn. So stick around. This is going to be a long one. Now, while I do understand there's still snow and ice for a lot of you guys in the country, I want this video to come out sooner rather than later. That way you're prepared for this coming crappie spawn, because in the next few weeks down in Florida and Texas and even over here in South Carolina where I'm at, the pre-spawn should be kicking off. So if you watch everything in this video, you're going to be right on cue, right on point, and you're going to be able to put a lot of fish in your freezer. Now, the first key factor of the pre-spawn and the spawn honestly all starts with water temperature. And there's two key numbers that these are the only two key numbers you've got to focus on this time of year. And that is 50 degrees and 60 degrees. Because what 50 degrees is going to do is it's going to pull these fish out of whatever they're doing during their winter time, whether that's they're hanging out at the mouth of the creek, they're hanging on the main lake, and even some are still hanging in the creeks from last fall, because they all don't go to the main lake as much as people think they do. But once you get to 50 degrees, these fish are going to pull off of what they're doing, and they're going to start following the bait into the back of canals, creeks, river channels, just anything where the water is going to be warming up faster. So if you get a lot of cold rain, that could push off that. But also, you just got to keep up with your weather, because once you get to that 60-degree mark, that's when the spawn is going to start. But you've got to understand that when I say 60-degree water temperature, I also mean stable 60-degree water temperature. If you have a day that you have 60-degree water and you're like, well, I'm gonna go back here and throw me a slip cork and I'm gonna catch fish, and you don't catch anything, then the next day that you're out on the water and you have 54-degree water temps because the nighttime was cold, or you had an influx of rain that cooled the water down significantly. Come on, Steven. Then the spawn is not going to happen. They're still going to be in that pre-spawn. But the cool thing about that is, if you have a 60-degree day, that's going to push these fish a lot further back than they normally would be, and they're just going to be sitting there waiting for the chance to go lay their eggs. So the entire spawn starts with male crappie going up there and building a nest. And these nests are normally found in protected pockets. And what I mean by protected pockets is you have a north wind, which is going to be your coldest wind. Now, right when the spawn starts, that's kind of the key ingredient to find the best places for fish that are spawning first. Because as everybody knows, and if you don't know, normally the biggest fish pull first. So finding a pocket somewhere with stagnant water, access to deep water, but a flat that's 2 to 5 feet, you're going to have your biggest fish pull there first, because it's going to be protected from that north wind. If you can find a pocket that is protected from north wind, that one's going to heat up faster than anywhere else in that creek. So you're going to be able to find a couple spawners right before everywhere else starts spawning. And that really can be key if you really focused on fishing the spawn. Now, it also entitles that just because I tell you 50 degrees starts the pre-spawn, 60 degrees starts the spawn, obviously there's a lot of factors that go into that. Like I was saying, you want to find the pockets that are protected from the north wind. But also, you want to find dirty water before you start fishing clean water. Dirty water warms up faster, so the fish are more likely to start spawning. Say if you have a lot of spring rain, your lake was drawn down, you get a bunch of rain, so all that mud muddies up everything. If you have muddier water in your river system than you do towards the dam, what you're going to end up with is your river crappie are going to be spawning, and the fish down at the dam are either going to be in pre-spawn because the water temperature is 50 something, or that water temperature could even be as low as a 20-degree difference, and those fish may be still in their wintertime patterns. It's all water temperature, guys. All water temperature. 50 degrees starts the pre-spawn. If you have stable 50 degrees, they're going to be looking for bait. They're going to be feeding up. You're going to have those fat 2-pounders, just flipping them in the boats with your ACC crappie sticks. Come on now. And 60 degrees, stable 60 degrees, where it stays 60 degrees, that's when you're going to get spawns. Now that we know what temperature we should start looking for, and kind of the areas of the lake you want to focus on at the beginning of the spawn, because once the entire creek gets to 60 degrees, any of those areas that we're about to talk about now could potentially hold a slab. So what happens during the spawn? The males are going to make the nests, and these nests are going to range anywhere from 2 to 5 feet of water in dirty or, kind of dirty water, not totally clean, because in clean water, the nest could be 8 to 10 feet of water. Fishing the crappie spawn on a very, very clean lake can be difficult, but at the same time, if you use a good pair of sunglasses, it can change the outcome of your day, or, live scope. We're not covering live scope today. So 2 to 5 feet of water is essentially what most people are going to be looking for in the backs of these pockets, down these creek arms, anywhere where something is different. And what I mean by what is something different, if you're in a boat and you're going down to the back of this creek, back of this river channel, back of this whatever, you're going to the back of the McDonald's if they got water back there. You're looking for something irregular, different, or just plain ass obvious. And what I mean by that is, if you've got 2 to 5 feet of water and you've got to lay down a bush, grass, alien spaceship that's sitting out there, those are the areas that you want to fish. These are the areas that the male fish are going to pull up, depending on the bottom. Now, if you have an area with a hard bottom, which you can take your fishing rod and poke in and if, some dirt's softer than others, and they tend to like the harder dirt, but if there's no hard dirt, they will spawn practically any dang where. Like if you're in a pond system and you have nothing, they'll find somewhere to spawn. They gonna get it done. You just got to figure out what part of your pond is different. There could be one piece of grass sticking up down the entire bank, and there'll be a male crappie sitting on that grass making a bed. Now, I know we covered a lot of males, but the truth is, guys, if you're fishing the crappie spawn without live scope or pulling jigs, you're fishing for males. Now, you can get in the comments down below and be like, Turner, I've caught big old females on the... No, you haven't. You just haven't. The females pull up to these nests at night. They lay some eggs. They pull back to where they were, which is 90% of the time the channel or the deepest water near that 5 to 2 feet of water that they're spawning in. They're going to pull back out either to a brush pile, or they're just going to hang out in the middle of the water column that we see on live scope. And then the next night, they'll pull back up there. They'll lay some more eggs until they're laid out, and then they're gone. And that's how the female part of this works. So if you're going down the bank throwing a cork, or you're going down the bank dipping all the trees, 98.9% of the time you're going to be catching males. And there's nothing wrong with that. They all eat the same. If you put a female crappie and a male crappie taco in front of me and told me that the male was the female and the female was the male, I'll be like, okay, I got you, bro. They still going to taste the same. And the male crappie look cooler anyway. They got their black tuxedos on and all that. But, like I said, if you want to catch the biggest and baddest fish of your life, you want to fish for the deeper ones. If you want to catch a bunch of fish and hang up a bunch and lose a bunch of corks, then you fish the male fish. And that's kind of the gist of the spawn, really. Without putting it, without sugarcoating it, that it's the most fun thing in the world. That's what the spawn is. You get hung a lot fishing for males, and the females run from you all the time. But let's carry on. Let's carry on. Okay. Let's go. So if you're enjoying this video and if it's taught you anything, I do invite you down below to hit the red button and subscribe. Every Friday, I'm coming out with a new long video teaching you something that not everybody teaches here on YouTube. And that's my goal, is to teach you how to catch enough fish to live off of. So every Friday, I'm coming out with a new video. I also go live almost every single night in this shop making baits, and I invite you to come hang out with us. We've got an awesome fishing community. Bread and butter of the video. I've taught you what to look for. Water temperatures, 50 and 60. Remember those two numbers, 50 and 60. I've taught you where to look. Pockets protected by the north wind. Pockets in general. 60-degree stable water temperature. Let me know down in the comments what stable water temperature you need to catch a crappie on a bed. Please. And my phone's messing up. So now, the real question is, how do you catch them? How do you catch them, Steven? How do I catch these daggum fish? There's only 3 ways that you can go about this. And you can pick either one of them and succeed very, very well. Number 1 way that I do recommend every angler watching this video is to use a slip cork. A slip cork is going to allow you to cover water efficiently and have your bait soak efficiently. If you throw a slip cork at a laydown, you can pop that slip cork next to the laydown and trigger a male to bite. Males are very, very aggressive, and they protect their beds like it's nobody's tomorrow. Now, females, on the other hand, you've got to basically feed them the bait. But that's not what we're covering in today's video. Another effective method that not a lot of people talk about is underspins. Underspins can effectively kill 90% of that creek in a matter of an hour. You can turn your trolling motor on high, make sure that water temperature is 60 degrees, and start casting a 1/16 underspin down the bank. Anything that looks different, guys. Different is where these fish are going to be. So if you see a laydown, throw that underspin. You're going to get hung. Don't get me wrong. You're going to get hung. Go get that. Go get it, though. The closer you are to that structure, the better. And keep casting. And once you get a bite or two, hey, pick up the slip cork, slow down a little bit, and pick apart everything. Now, the third way to do this, and honestly, in my opinion, the most fun way to do this, is using a 10-foot or longer rod. Put about 8-pound test ACC crappie line on there, and dip every hole you see. If you've got a lay-down tree and it's got 40 limbs on it, you dip every limb on that tree. And when those male crappie will tell you if they're there in about 5 milliseconds of that jig falling in that hole. They will annihilate it. That's why the word comes from, is the male crappie during the spawn. I mean, yeah, you get knocked the crap out of all year sometimes, but this time of year, if you take that long pole and dip it on a laydown or a bush or a tree or a piece of grass, that sucker is trying to kill whatever is on the end of your line. So what baits do I recommend for the slip cork and the dipping method? The dipping method, I do recommend the OG, which is a 2-inch minnow with a forked tail. It's just a bigger profile. They're going to fill it with their lateral line, especially in muddy water. And it's more intimidating to those male crappie. Now, for a slip cork, I do tend to like littler baits on slip cork. I don't know why. A 1.5-inch little minnow works great. The swim bait is phenomenal when you're popping it, because it's going to give that tail just a little bit of twitches. And for the underspin, obviously I recommend Crappie Man Jigs underspins. They're coming out the day of this video release, so they may be sold out by the time you watch this. I hope this video taught you something. This is everything between my ears that I could verbally say to tell you how to fish a crappie spawn. Next Friday, I don't know what we're covering. So if you have any suggestions, drop a comment about that too. So in the next couple weeks, I am going to be able to get out there and actually fish what I find the most funnest time of the year. And that's because the biggest fish are in the creek channels. Stay slappy.